I know most people find it disturbing, but someone has to do it. I collect dead bodies. It's something I do every day, and it almost never changes. My colleague gets to the scene first to do all the prep work. I turn up a while later to transport them to where they need to be. Not many people know about what I do, but my lack of conversation about it is not out of shame. I am proud of it, and I simply don't want people to view me any differently. Usually, everything goes smoothly. I turn up. The body is already concealed in a bag, and I load it into the vehicle. The whole drive is just me and a body in the back, and maybe my colleague on some days. But yesterday, the drive did not go as it should. The events that transpired mean I will live in fear for the rest of my days, and I may have to give this up. I turned up to the scene. It was a fairly large house on the outskirts of town. A guy that lived alone and never really spoke to anyone. My colleague had probably been the first person to step foot in that house, besides the man himself, in years. I, myself, probably the second. The door had been left unlocked, and I went inside the building. My colleague never leaves the body out in the open, for obvious reasons. Even if the death was outdoors, the body is moved indoors. Sure enough, as usual, a large blue bag full of bumps made the faint outline of a human. It takes a bit of effort to move it into the van, but no more than a few minutes. Picking up a limp, lifeless body is second nature to me. I've been doing it for years. I got the bag down in the back of the van and drove off, headed for the other side of town. It was dark out, and the roads were empty. This is how I like to drive. 5 minutes into the journey, I heard a groan from behind me. A raspy, shaky, agonized groan. It was loud and sharp, piercing through the sounds of the night. The fear that shot through me is indescribable. I felt a pit open in my stomach as every muscle in my body tightened. My hands jolted so hard that I nearly crashed, but I kept control. The back of the van is too dark to see into, so I grabbed my flashlight from under my chair and pulled the vehicle to a complete stop. As I shone it into the back, I saw something I had secretly always feared. The bag was sat upright. I crept closer, trying to be silent. A muffled voice from within the bag spoke.
"Hello? Who's there? I can hear you."
I wasn't sure what to do. My colleague always checks their pulse. Had he made a mistake? He must have. I slowly unzipped the bag as the man inside began to scream. We stared at each other, both of our eyes showing the terror within us. His cries echoed beyond the walls of the van, out into the darkness. I wanted to join him and cry myself, as I knew what this meant, but I held it back. In a blind panic, I took my flashlight and struck the man on the head. I know that's unprofessional, as I didn't want to damage his skull, but it was my first instinct. It didn't kill him, though. It didn't even knock him out. He fought me, and I wasn't strong enough. He just kept screaming. "I know what you did. I know what you did." Why couldn't he be like the rest? I'm ashamed to admit. He got out. He opened the back doors of the van and got out. He was smart about it, too. He climbed over fences so I could only follow him on foot, to stop me from driving after him. After just 5 minutes, he was far enough ahead that I could no longer hear him. And after 10 more minutes, I knew I had lost him completely. I phoned up my colleague and told him. We were furious at each other, yet upset with ourselves. How had we both messed up? In my opinion, he's more at fault than me. He usually strangles them properly. How had he messed this one up? The flashlight to the head, even if it had worked, would have still ruined the skull. Strangling is the only way that leaves the body in pristine condition, the way I like it. I didn't get to add this body to my collection, and for fear of being caught, I may have to stop my hobby of collecting corpses entirely. I discovered the meaning of life. Or at least, that's what my eager customers are led to believe. You see, 2 or 3 times a month, I post a listing titled, The Meaning of Life, to various auction sites. I couple it with a sappy picture of a sunset or rainbow, and a description that reads, All views are subjective. Results may vary. Most people wouldn't bat an eye at such a ridiculous listing, but there are some gullible folks out there that take the bait. When the bidding ends, I usually take home anywhere from $5 to $12. After I've received my money via PayPal, I ship out the item. What is the item, you might ask? Well, I scribble down an inspirational quote or life lesson onto a piece of paper and mail it out in your standard letter-sized envelope. The quotes are usually from famous writers, historical figures, or the Bible. Some of them include, If light is in your heart, you will find your way home, quoted from Rumi. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Quoted from Maya Angelou. It's never too late to be what you might have been. Quoted from George Eliot. And that's it. 1 stamp, a drop in the mailbox, and my work is done. It's as simple as that. You might call me a scammer, or a con artist, or perhaps even a plagiarist. And, in truth, you are correct. I'm taking advantage of the naive people out there who are probably just looking for a sense of purpose in life, all so I can make a quick buck. But I'd like to think most people know it's bullshit and purchase my listing just to see what I'll send them. Besides, I'm a bachelor right out of college. So long as I can make a small dent in my phone bill and eat a packet of ramen each night, I'll sleep just fine. As you might imagine, I receive quite a bit of hate mail. I've learned to ignore angry emails and private messages on the auction sites. As soon as I see that it's from one of my customers, it gets deleted. I do, however, receive the occasional snail mail. It's unavoidable, as my P.O. box is listed on all of the envelopes I send out. It would be pretty easy for me to toss these letters in the trash with the rest of my junk mail, but I never can. Something about receiving a physical letter from someone, good or bad, compels me to read it. I feel that anyone who takes the time to write one deserves to have their voice heard, even if I don't really care for what they have to say. The more physical letters I receive, the more amused I am by them. To paint a better picture, here are a few of my favorite quotes from the fan mail I've received over the years.
You're nothing but a glorified fortune cookie service. You'll rot in hell for the sins you've committed. Mark my words. You're a real effing piece of shit. You know that?
It's reached a point where reading these letters has become the highlight of my week. I've even tacked up some of the better ones on a corkboard in my bedroom. You might think that's sick and a little messed up, but I think it's hilarious. Not all the letters I receive are bad. There's one guy by the name of Red.
No last name. That's all he ever writes above his return address.
Who mails me constantly. He sends me inspirational quotes in exchange for mine. I assume he's a repeat buyer who enjoys paying for and receiving cheerful messages in his mailbox every now and again. A man of class and dignity. My kind of customer. The first quote Red ever sent me was,
"The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time."
From Mark Twain. This was a great first impression, as Mark Twain is one of my favorite authors. The quote was much appreciated. As such, I hung it up next to the hate mail on my corkboard. Some of the things Red sends me, however, are not corkboard material. Some of the quotes he sends are morbid and depressing, and other times he'll mail me small packages containing little trinkets that I have no use for. It's a little weird, but I figure the guy is depressed and just needs a friend. Maybe the quotes he buys from me are the only thing he has to look forward to each morning. Perhaps the things he sends me are his way of saying thanks. To me, it's a validation that what I'm doing isn't completely sleazy. But here's where things get weird. Today, I received another envelope from Red. I smiled when I pulled it out of my P.O. box. His letters and gifts, no matter how odd, were just as much, if not more of a highlight to my week than the endlessly entertaining hate mail. Upon opening the envelope, however, my smile vanished. Inside was a photograph of me, taken up close through my bedroom window. On the back of the photograph was another one of Red's quotes.
"You look so alone. Where's the meaning in your life?"
Have you ever looked a loved one in the eyes and not recognized what you see? The face is the same, but there's something else. Something that wasn't there before. Something that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, but you don't know why. When my wife came home from the hospital, all I could think was how relieved I was. How happy that she and the baby both made it. We were warned about possible complications with the birth, but I didn't expect her to flatline. My heart almost stopped along with hers. Fortunately, it was almost over, and the doctors saved our daughter before they brought back my wife. She was officially dead for nearly 3 minutes. I'll admit, I cried, and cried again when she opened her eyes. I should have noticed it then. She rested a lot, spent most of her time with our daughter. At first I worried she might have postpartum depression, but she seemed content. No crying, no screaming, no curling up in bed and staying there for days on end. She was always so attentive, making sure our daughter had everything she needed. Something still nagged at me. I couldn't shake the sense that she was different somehow. They say motherhood changes a woman, but I should have known better. One night, I heard her on the baby monitor. She used to sing for our daughter before she was born, but I hadn't heard her sing since. I eagerly listened, hoping I would hear her beautiful voice again. Instead, what I heard gave me chills and made my stomach turn uneasily.
"That's it,"
she said in a soft voice.
"You drink up so you can be nice and healthy when you're older. It may take a decade or two for you to be ripe, but I've waited longer. You're a prize worth waiting for."
Then she laughed, but it wasn't my wife's laugh. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. For days I watched her, finally noticing all the little things that weren't quite right. She barely left the house. Wouldn't let anybody else come see the baby. She even told her own mother not to stop by. That was the final straw. Something was wrong, and I had to know what. I confronted her, the thing that looked like my wife. "What happened to you?" I demanded. She smiled, but it wasn't my wife's smile.
"What do you mean?"
"You know what I mean. You're not my wife. You haven't been for weeks. Who are you?" She stopped pretending. I looked into her eyes, and I didn't recognize what I saw.
"Well, you were bound to figure it out eventually,"
she said.
"No, I'm not your wife. Your wife was dead. Or rather, her heart stopped, and she had an out-of-body experience. That lovely body of hers, with all her memories tucked away in the synapses of her brain, was open for the taking. So many of us scrambled to claim it, and I got here first."
She did a smug little curtsy, as though I should be impressed. My eye twitched. "And what are you?"
"You might call me a wandering spirit, or a ghost, or even a demon. Though frankly, I can't remember what I used to be. I don't even know if I started out human. What I do know is that when a person dies, and the spirit leaves it, if they don't come back to claim it when somebody revives them, there are plenty like me who yearn for a physical form. It has been ages since I took over a woman, and with a baby too. There were spirits lining up hoping for a shot at that life. But that's not what I wanted. I want to start over again. I'm tired of being an adult."
I choked as my heart leapt into my throat. "You wouldn't." It laughed.
"Well, I would, but I can't. She's not old enough. She would need someone to take care of her, and that seems like it would get annoying after a while. Besides, she's so fragile. There's no telling if her body would actually survive."
"I won't let you lay a finger on her," I snarled, my fists balled in rage.
"Ha! I suppose you'd kill me first. Think that one through a little. If you kill me, and you get caught, then you go to jail, and your poor baby girl grows up an orphan, or bounced around the foster system."
At least she would get to live.
"Oh, she wouldn't be dead my way. Simply banished, without a body, until she could find one to jump into, like I did."
It smirked.
"Besides, I don't think you have the guts."
I couldn't take it anymore. I had to protect my daughter. My wife was already gone, cursed to some hell I couldn't even imagine. I ran to the kitchen and took a knife from the counter. Then it was scared. It tried to run, but I was too fast. I thought of all the times I had playfully chased her and caught her with kisses and merciless tickling. She would scream with laughter then, but now it was just screaming as I drove the knife into her chest. With its last bit of strength, it wrapped my wife's hands around my throat and squeezed. In all my shock and grief, I didn't fight. My tears ran down her arms as everything faded to black. "And that's when I took over his body,"